This is Stingers Up, and I am your host, Andrew Wright. Yes, I'm coming back after a couple of weeks of a hiatus. A lot of changes, a lot of great things that are happening personally for myself, which I will probably get to in a little bit. But I do feel bad because I've missed the last two football games. Haven't really come on here and talked about it, but I just a lot of things were happening this week, and that's really all I'm gonna say about that for now. But let's talk about Sanger West football. Yes, I do have a cold, so this is gonna sound a little bit different. So I apologize if I have to clear my throat in the middle of this, or I have to cough in the middle of this. I'm very sorry, but yes, I am feeling a little under the weather today, so I'm trying to just bear with me is all I ask. Anyway, so Sanger West, their last game of the season was against Sunnyside, and this was not a must-win game. The week prior against Fresno High, where Sanger West did win, was a must-win game, and they, like I said, they did end up winning, so that was great. So now they have playoff implications, but they got to go through Sunnyside. Sunnyside is a very good team, and as I've said before, they had a few controversies coming into this game, and of course Sunnyside is pretty much on a mission to just destroy teams right now, and rightfully so. I'm not going to really speak on the allegations, other than I do know it was about a player playing on JV and varsity in the same game or the same day, which is a big no-no in the CIF. So, it is on them. But at the same time, I mean, they had to end up forfeiting 4 games, which is, I don't know if it happened in multiple games or if it's just because of other things that have gone on with Sunnyside, where they just finally put a stop to some of their wins or whatever. I don't know what the case necessarily entails. All I know is they ended up having to forfeit 4 games, which I'm pretty sure all 4 of the games that they had to forfeit were wins for them. So they're on a mission. They want to win every game that they play, and they want to stomp everyone. So coming into this game, Sunnyside had put up 60 points on a Matilda Torres team, who Sanger West also beat, in the first half. So, Sunnyside, like I said, they're focused. They are on a mission. So, going into this game, and I'll be the first one to say it, I had multiple players going, this game makes me a little bit nervous. They're killing teams right now. They're just and they're a really good team. They have the talent to do it, and they're like, I think we're going to lose. And I go, listen, these are the best games to play. And I told this to the kids who were saying that to me, was, listen, okay, let's say you guys are going to lose. Let's just say that you are. The best thing that you can do, and the way you can make it really hard on that Sunnyside team, is playing loose. Well, how do I play loose? Well, you play and you have fun. It sounds stupid, I know. But when I was coaching AAU, there was a team that we saw, and I'm not going to lie to you, I saw this team and I go, we're not going to beat them. And I'm coaching the 7th grade team, and the other team that we're playing are 7th grade, or like a 7th grade team. I'm pretty sure some of them were playing down, but in AAU, they really don't care. Like, they try and say, oh, we're going to be really strict, and you got to have ID and ages and birth certificates and stuff like that, and no one ever does. That's the story for another day. But I remember watching this team because we had kind of a long break, like a 2-hour break. And I ended up waiting in the gym for our game, and I was watching, and so I figured out where the team that we should be playing was going to be at. So I went and watched them play. And they were good. These kids were dunking, okay? 7th grade, man. And they had a couple of kids who were about maybe 5'11", 6 foot. I'm pretty sure they had one kid who was as tall as me, 6'2". So crazy height, crazy athleticism. Just a really good team. Really good team. And I remember, and I pulled, some of the kids were starting to funnel in, and they came up and they're like, "Coach, like, this is a really good team. This is the team we're playing." And I go, "Yeah, this is the team we're playing." And I go, "Listen, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good they are." I go, "I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be honest with you. This team is going to be really, really hard to beat. And there's not many ways that we're going to be able to win. So what I want you guys to do, and what the only thing that I ask you guys to do, is I ask you to just have fun. Run the plays. You guys know the plays. Run the defense. We know the defense. Just have fun. Be excited when your teammate scores. Don't get mad if they don't know what play they're running. Just keep playing. Play basketball. You're going to give up points. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it. Just keep playing. Don't stress yourself out. Go into the mentality in this game, I'm just going to have fun. I'm going to play basketball because I like basketball. And that's what I told him. And I kid you not, that game, this was the best team we had faced all AAU season. By far, the best team we faced. And I believe that team ended up going on to winning the whole thing. The best game we ever played. It was the best game we had played. All AAU season. It was the best game we played. We shot proficiently. We played excellent defense where it made them, like I said, I didn't have kids who were 6 feet even. I don't think we had a kid taller than 5'6". I think we had really short guys. But for some reason, they just played loose, they played fun, and they had the time of their life. And that's what I told them. I just said, have fun. Don't worry about anything else, just have fun. You guys know how the offense is run, so I'm not worried about it. I will call plays, of course. I'm not checking out here. But you guys go and have fun. That's the key. And they absolutely had fun. We were only down by 10 points at halftime. And I think we ended up losing about, 20, maybe I think it was 22 points or something like that. And you're like, well, best game you ever played? Yeah, this team put up about 60 points on us. And we had scored about, in the 40s. I think we were getting close to 50 points. And it was just, we hadn't scored over 40 points in the whole AAU season. So it wasn't just points, it was our defense was on point. We were getting a lot of steals, a lot of breakaways. We weren't freaking out when we got fouled. It was more like, oh, they fouled me. Yeah, I'm gonna go shoot a bucket. I'm gonna get that free throw. And we were just having fun. We were making good passes. Of course there were turnovers, but it was great to see the kids, their final game, they just left it all out there. I said, don't regret playing in this game and being like, oh, I should have done this, or oh, I should have done that. I go, you want to go out there and give it your all. And that's what they did. And so that was kind of my mindset when I was talking to these high school football boys when they were talking about it. And like, basically the mindset was, we're going to lose. And I go, well, don't think you're going to lose, but understand that this could be your final game. So go out there, be loose, have fun. Play with fun. Don't just go out there and let them beat you. Go out there and play your best that you can. And just give it your all, because this could be your last game. You have no idea. You don't know if you guys are getting into playoffs. We assume, but you really don't know. And that's what they did. And they actually put up... so they ended up losing, I believe it was 60-31, if I'm not mistaken. And Sunnyside, at the end, I was told by multiple players that Sunnyside was actually really upset because Sanger West had scored the most points that Sunnyside had given up all season to any team in their division. And so they were really, really upset that they gave up 30 plus points to the Sanger West Hornets. They thought they were going to come into this game and just roll over them. And it wasn't just like, obviously we're looking at it basically a 30-point loss, okay? But when you talk about in football terms, you add another touchdown to that, now they're only down by 23. That's technically a 3-possession game. And so it means that they were still in the game the whole time until the very, very end. And so I'm very proud of Sanger West for going in there. And it just seemed like they were like, you know what? If we lose, we lose. It don't matter. Let's just go out there and give it our all. And they absolutely gave it their all. And I'm not advocating that, hey, it's okay to lose, which honestly, in my playing career, I learned more from losses than I did from wins. So, although, yeah, you never want to lose, but at the same time, you got to know how to lose. And I feel like Sanger West really learned how to lose in that game. Like, they learned how, hey, it's okay that we lost. Now we know we can play. We can play with these juggernauts. Because let's give Sunnyside their due. Sunnyside is a juggernaut. They have a really great talent, kids who are going to go to D1 colleges and probably could start, this year. That's how good they have. So, for me, I was really pleased to see Sanger West really just give it their all and really play to how I knew they could play. And so I would even say they probably kind of probably surprised themselves a little bit because like I said, some of the kids were already like, man, we lost, this isn't going to be our game and blah blah blah. But really proud of them for stepping up and just being like, you know what, forget that, let's just play. And that's what they did. So, I don't know who really to give the shout-outs to in this game, because unfortunately I was not able to go to this game. Basketball season has started, so I'm not really having a lot of time to go see the other sports. So, but I'm just going to shout out the whole Sanger West football team by just absolutely going out there and doing what they know that they could. So, so this next part, we're going to be talking about Sanger West against Bishop Union in the playoffs. So let's talk about Sanger West versus Bishop Union. So the playoff selection went along, obviously because of the losing record that Sanger West had. You knew they were going to move down divisions, but because of strength of schedule for Sanger West, this is why they ended up even being a contender for the playoffs. So, and like I said, you have to at least win 3 games to be considered. I think you have to win I believe it's 30% of your games or something. So 3 wins basically. So Sanger West qualified for that. They get put in as the 16th seed in the D5 playoff, which, listen, whether or not you get 16th seed or 13th seed, I know it's still a pretty good mismatch there, but it is good that Sanger West is still in the playoffs the last 2 years. That's good news. I mean, that's what you want as a coach, as a coaching staff. You still want to be able to compete and play in the playoffs. And like I said, Sanger West was starting to play really good football towards the end here. They started catching on to whatever they were doing. It was finally starting to work. And so you got to give it up for the coaching staff, Coach Thompson and all those coaches down there. Really, getting the kids to buy in and really starting to play. So we got to give them props on that. So shout out to Coach Thompson and the rest of the Sanger West coaching football staff. So, excuse me. So Sanger West gets picked as the 16th seed, which is the final seed in D5. So they barely squeaked in, but hey, you got in. Like I said, great news. They're going to play Bishop Union. So Bishop Union is a school about 5 hours away from Sanger West. And Sanger West left real early to go to that game. They left about 5 a.m. in the morning, so it was early morning. A lot of kids sleeping on the bus on the way up there, and especially on the way back as well. And let's start out by saying this. Bishop Union has got some dudes. Okay, this is a really good football program for a lot of years now. They just keep funneling in these really talented players, and they run kind of they technically call it a read option offense, but the way that I was being explained by some of the coaching staff is it's essentially they say it's a read option offense. To me, it reminded me a lot of the triple option, specifically what Clovis East used to run when I was in high school, around the 2005, 2000, I think through 2010 era, somewhere in between there, where they would run a triple option. That was their whole offense, was the triple option. So it really reminded me of that, what they were explaining. And so, they have 2 really stud, big dude running backs, and their quarterback is a pretty big dude too. Now, the quarterback is athletic, and he's not super fast, he's not super strong, but he is very athletic nonetheless. He's very twitchy is what I would say. So this is a really good running team. They kill the clock on you. They run the ball down your throat until you can prove that you can stop it, which most teams, obviously, this year were not able to do. So it's easier said than done. But nonetheless, this is who Sanger West is going after. Now, their defense, I didn't hear much about their defense. And so that was kind of what I was a little bit worried about, is I feel like the Bishop Union defense was going to come in and really do well and kind of solidify themselves as the tougher part of the program. Nonetheless, Sanger West was able to move the ball. And they were able to move the ball down the field pretty well. Not easily, but pretty well. running the offense. Obviously, a couple of mistakes here and there. A couple of drop passes, maybe some stuff runs here and there. But for the most part, they were able to run the offense. The issue that Sanger West ran into early and often throughout this game, turnovers. There was a fumble by Dominique Streets on the opposite on Bishop Union's side of the field, where they scooped it up and scored. Another fumble towards the end, unfortunately by Aaron Cox, who had a phenomenal year. Just not really getting in rhythm or scoring points. And the longer it takes you to score points, the harder it is for you to score points. And what I mean by that is, it's exactly like basketball. If you don't see the ball going in the hoop, you start to believe that maybe I'm never going to score again. And it's kind of the same way in football, is if you're not seeing the ball across that line, or at least getting points on the board, it's really hard. You're starting to think, we're never going to move the ball on these guys, or we're never going to score the ball on these guys. We're never going to score on these guys. So I think that's what Sanger West started falling into a little bit here, was just they were playing well, but stop after stop, turnover after turnover, it starts kind of demoralizing you a little bit, and it ended up being kind of a big blowout there. I believe it was 41 to I'll have to check the score on that one, but I'm pretty sure it ended up being like 41-9. So, unfortunately, Sanger West's season came to an end. Of course, we would have loved to see Sanger West really pull it out and just do well, but in the end, it was kind of unfortunate that they couldn't pull it out. But really proud of these kids. And I really want to shout out a lot of these kids for the way they played all year, and just what they had to go through, what they had to endure, and that they ended up getting. So this next part here, we're going to congratulate on a great season a lot of these boys. So let's go into some shout outs for the Sanger West boys. So first and foremost, I want to shout out everyone. These kids have worked very hard to be where they're at today. Listen, Sanger West is still in its infancy. So, as much as we want to go on here and be like, we're great right away, it takes time. It takes time to build a program. And, I came on here more often than not saying, Sanger West lost. But listen, this is still in its infancy. These kids, we're still building the program. And I think that's what people really need to look at when you talk about Sanger West, is this is still a building program. This is not a finished product. This is not an established product. This is a product that has just started, barely started. We're only on year 3 now. And we've only had one graduating class. Still very, very new. So I hope people keep that in mind when they were listening to this show, is, listen, this isn't always going to be, unicorns, rainbows, and roses and everything. It's not going to be that. What it's going to be is, it's going to take a lot of work to get this program to where it should be and where I see it going. And so I want to shout out the coaching staff to not give up, to continue their immense their immense growth that they've had. And right now we're not seeing wins and losses growth, and that's going to happen. But the future is getting brighter and brighter. That football JV team was starting to build and build and build. And so I think people need to also look at that standpoint of, okay, things are happening. Things are happening. And so, hopefully sooner rather than later would be great. Sanger West football will be a name to reckon with. But right now, we're still building. We're doing a fantastic job. These kids, like I said earlier in this episode, they were buying in. Towards the end, I know it sucks that it wasn't the whole season, but these kids are starting to see what can happen. And so, and there's talent on this team. It's not like none of these kids, none of the senior class is going to be going to any college or anything. Like, there are multiple kids who are going to colleges specifically for football. So shout out to all those kids. So first I got to shout out, and I want to shout out the whole offensive line. The whole offensive line, I had said from the beginning of the year, this offensive line has to get better. Once they get better, then you're going to see a big time shift in this team. And that is exactly what happened. You started to see when the offensive line was starting to play well, giving Brendan some time to throw the football, giving the running backs lanes to run through. You started seeing good things happening. The offense is starting to drive the ball. And I want to say, like, specifically with that Sunnyside game, Sunnyside thought they were going to go and just mop the floor with them. And they didn't. And they struggled. And they had to stop Sanger West from scoring points. And they weren't still being that successful with it. So, say what you will, it doesn't matter how big of the gap was in that game. Sanger West still put up 30-plus points on Sunnyside. And they didn't think Sunnyside didn't even think they were going to score 7 points, let alone 31. So, let's just say that right now. You started to see the shift in this team strictly with that offensive line. You got to give it up to them. They have done a great job. Shout out to them, because they are probably, if I were to give a most improved player or group, that offensive line was the most improved this year. Starting from where it started in the first game against Mission Oak to the last game against Bishop Union, that has been a huge, huge difference. So, let's talk about players that we need to shout out. I think we need to shout out the quarterback, Brennan Hall. Brennan Hall has had these really big ups and really big downs. And I'm not saying necessarily that he had a bad, he was having an inconsistent year. What I'm saying is he went from, like I said, with this offensive line, he had to deal with the offensive line really struggling to, okay, now we're giving you time, now go eat. And that's exactly what he did. Brennan Hall really stood out to me towards the end of the year. He was perfect in the read option this year. In my opinion, the way he read the read option was spectacular. It was spectacular. I can honestly say this. I've never seen a high school quarterback run a read option as effective as Brennan Hall. And I know we could go and, well, look at this offense and look at this other team. Like, they run a read option offense. We don't necessarily run a read option offense. It's more of a spread offense. It's more of, we would rather pass. We'd rather just hand the ball off when we need to. So, for a quarterback to run a read option as great as Brennan Hall has all year long, with an up and down offensive line, is you gotta give him props for it. He had done a great job with what he has had to deal with. He has done a great job running that read option, and then passing the football. He was doing really well. He didn't throw a ton of interceptions this year. lot of, when Sanger West had their quarterback last year, starting last year. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was last year. It was a lot of interceptions. It was a lot of turnovers. And I'm not blaming the quarterback, but that's kind of what you thought was going to happen with Brendan Hall this year. Is you thought he was going to come in and maybe he's going to have to throw a few picks to realize, okay, I got to really hone it down. I got to really, focus. And like I had said, I had seen Brendan Hall really work hard at his craft during the offseason. He played for boys basketball at Sanger West last year, and the guy as a competitor, you knew he was not going to go. I knew he was not going to come into the season and just throw interception after interception, because he cares about what he does. He is someone who is going to care so much about how he plays the game. He is never going to be a bad football player. He just won't allow himself to do that. And that's what I mean by that. So I want to give Brendan Hall a big shout out, because he has done a great job. So let's talk about Aaron Cox Jr. This kid has come, I don't want to say essentially out of nowhere, because last year he was mainly a defensive end who was really good at what he did. He would make a lot of these tackles. He would get a lot of the sacks. So, he was already a big-time player. But to be asked to play edge rusher, and also, why don't you go play running back as well? And not only did he play running back, but he thrived at running back. He was incredible at running back. And something that I kind of want to shout out a kid, because I love this kid when he was at the school. He graduated last year, Elpidio Gomez, and we had a really cool relationship. I really liked talking to him last year. But what we were missing this year, or going into this year, was that big-time power running back. Who are we going to have? And so, shout out to the coaching staff here. They said, let's throw Aaron Cox in there. And Aaron has done an amazing job with it. And he has been, it's like without missing a beat, Aaron just came in and decided that he was going to take over games. And that's what he did, man. He had a 4-touchdown performance against Fresno High. There were games where he would score a touchdown and also have a sack. Just crazy. Aaron Cox Jr. is a junior, so he is going to be back next year. So only great things are still to come for Aaron, and he's only going to get better. I can definitely see Aaron playing for a D1 college in 2 years' time. So, look out for Aaron Cox Jr., because this kid, he's got something real special. And one other kid I really want to shout out, someone that I thought, I felt like kind of fell through the cracks sometimes, but was a really great contributor. I got to give Dominique Streets a lot of props for this year, I think. And there's so many kids I have flooding through my brain, but I do need to give Dominique his praise, because Dominique came in, he was on JV last year. He was so dominant last year for JV. You had to call him up. You weren't sure how much playing time he was going to get, because, again, you have Aaron Cox Jr., you have DeRay Bland, who had a phenomenal year as well. You have Malachi Young, who was a running back last year on varsity for the Hornets. So you just weren't sure how Dominique was going to fit into this offense, but you knew he was going to get a couple of carries. And shout out to Coach Garza. He's the one who told me first. Coach Garza told me that Dominique worked all offseason on just getting his legs way stronger. I mean, just decided I'm going to never skip leg day, and it'll probably be, 3 times working on the legs during the week type of an off season. And not only did that help him, but it made him jump over a lot of these running backs. I mean, in my honest opinion, it almost ended up being Dominic Streets as the number 2 running back. I'm not sure they would ever say that, but from what I saw, it was a lot of Aaron Cox Jr., it was a lot of Dominic Streets, and then occasionally they would sprinkle in Malachi Young and also Vincent Yang, and then every now and then DeRay Bland, where they kind of moved DeRay Bland to the receiving position, like a slot receiver, where he did really good. Excuse me. But Dominique really showed what he can do, and this kid is also, I believe he is a junior as well, so he's going to be coming back next year as well. So this running back core that Sanger West has is going to be spectacular next year, and I'm really looking forward to watching it all next year. So big shout out to all those players. There's a ton more, but I've just been picking 3 every single week, so I'm going to stick to that for the season long. Big shout out to Brendan Hall. Big shout out to Aaron Cox Jr. Big shout out to Dominic Streets as well. So great job for all those boys. A lot of seniors going, but a lot of kids who were in important positions are coming back. So there's a lot to like about the Sanger West team. There are spots that need to be filled, but there are spots that are solidified, and you got to feel good about it. So really, I'm really excited to see what happens next year. The quarterback position is going to be an interesting one. Brendan Hall, obviously being a senior, he is going to graduate. So I know of a couple of kids who could potentially be the quarterback. I'm not going to say them because I kind of just want to see it play out. So, but nonetheless, really excited about the future of Sanger West. Congratulations, boys, on a great season. I know it's tough to lose your last game, but there's only one team in the playoffs that ends up winning their last game. Every other team loses their last game. So don't hang your heads. Continue to fight. Continue to be strong, and your day will come. All right, guys, that is it for me. This is Stingers Up. I was going to go into what has been going on, but I think we'll have to wait for another episode because this one has been long. But I appreciate your guys' support in listening to this podcast or watching it on TikTok or YouTube. We appreciate all the love and support that we have been getting from the Sanger West students, from non-students, staff members, whatever it may be. We appreciate that. So thank you very much, and we're in basketball season now.